With the third pick.
With the third pick.
With the third pick.
With the third pick.
The Chicago Bulls pick Michael Jordan.
The Atlanta Hawks select Pau Gasol. The Oklahoma City Thunder select James Harden.
The Philadelphia 76ers select Joel Embiid. The Atlanta Hawks select Luka Doncic.
Every year, all eyes go to the number one pick, the chosen one, the can't-miss prospect, the franchise savior. But what if the real magic happens 2 picks later? Because history keeps repeating itself. Michael Jordan, James Harden, Luka Doncic, Joel Embiid, Jayson Tatum, all picked third, not first, not even second. Just far enough to feel overlooked, but close enough to make sure you remember their name. The third pick doesn't just produce good players, it creates killers. MVPs, Hall of Famers, legends. And year after year, it proves something the league still hasn't learned. You don't need the first pick to get the best player. You just need the right one. Every year, the number one pick is treated like fate. The cameras lock in, the commissioner walks to the podium, and just like that, a player becomes a savior. He's the one who's going to change the franchise, the one the rebuild has been waiting for. Except, it doesn't always work that way. In fact, it rarely does. Greg Oden, Kwame Brown, Anthony Bennett, Michael Olowokandi, Andrea Bargnani. All top picks, all called can't miss, all used as cautionary tales now. Being picked first isn't just about talent, it's about surviving the weight that comes with it. The pressure is relentless, the expectations are immediate, and the patience, it disappears after your first bad week. You're not drafted into stability, you're drafted into dysfunction. And the moment you struggle, the world starts asking if you were ever really worth it. Sure, there are hits, LeBron, Tim Duncan, and Shaq, but for every one of them, there are 2 or 3 who never even came close. Because going number one isn't a guarantee, it's a microscope. And the truth is, some of the greatest players ever didn't go first. Some weren't even considered the best in their class, they just landed a little further down, with a chip on their shoulder, and a franchise ready to let them grow. And sometimes, just sometimes, the real greatness starts at pick number 3. In 1984, the Houston Rockets had the top pick in the NBA draft. They selected Hakeem Olajuwon, a dominant big man out of the University of Houston. No one questioned it, he was the clear number 1. Then came the Portland Trail Blazers at number 2. They already had Clyde Drexler and needed size, so they passed on a 6'6" guard from North Carolina, a kid named Michael Jordan, and took Sam Bowie. That left the Chicago Bulls sitting at number 3, and everything changed. Jordan wasn't just great, he became a global icon. 6 championships, 5 MVPs, 10 scoring titles, an entire generation shaped by the way he moved, spoke, and competed. And he wasn't the first pick, not even second. He went third. That moment shattered the idea that greatness always comes at the top. It introduced a strange new pattern, one where the player with the best career didn't get picked first. And it began reshaping how teams viewed the draft, because suddenly the safe pick didn't look so safe, and the number 3 pick started to feel like something else entirely. A space where all-time talent slipped through the cracks, where chips on shoulders met the right situations. It was more than just a draft slot. It became a symbol. The best player in NBA history wasn't the chosen one, he was the third one. Michael Jordan wasn't the only Hall of Famer taken third. After him came a wave of greatness that made the number 3 pick feel like a secret formula. In 1980, 4 years before Jordan, the Celtics selected Kevin McHale third overall. He became a 3 times champion, 7 times All-Star, and the ultimate low-post technician. 2 years later, in 1982, the Hawks drafted Dominique Wilkins at number 3, a scoring machine. 9 All-Star appearances, the human highlight film, and still one of the most electric dunkers the league has ever seen. Then came Pau Gasol in 2001. Picked third by the Hawks, traded immediately to Memphis. a 7-footer with touch, vision, and championship DNA. He was the piece that helped Kobe win 2 more rings in LA. And in 2003, the same year LeBron went first, Carmelo Anthony landed at number 3. He dropped 21 points a game as a rookie, carried the Nuggets to the playoffs immediately, and went on to score over 28,000 career points. None of them went number 1. None were billed as the next big thing. But each of them became franchise cornerstones. All-stars, leaders, Hall of Famers. There was no fluke, no trend-breaking outlier, just a growing list of players picked third who ended up first in almost everything else. The streak didn't end in the 2000s. If anything, the number 3 pick got stronger. In 2009, the Thunder selected James Harden 3rd overall. He came off the bench his first few years and then exploded. MVP, 3-time scoring champ, one of the most unstoppable offensive players in NBA history. He didn't just get buckets, he changed how the game was played. Then came 2014. Joel Embiid was hurt. Teams weren't sure if he'd ever be healthy. Cleveland passed, so did Milwaukee. The Sixers took him at 3. It took time, but when Embiid finally got on the court, he looked like a throwback and a prototype at the same time. Post dominance with a jump shot, an MVP winner, a two-way force who anchored Philly for a decade. In 2017, Boston had the number 1 pick and traded down to number 3. That's how confident they were in Jayson Tatum. No panic, no pressure. And they were right. He's now one of the best two-way wings in the game, an MVP candidate, a finals-level franchise player. Then in 2018, Luka Doncic. Passed on by 2 teams. Dallas made the move to grab him 3rd. He's now a walking triple-double, an MVP candidate every year, and still only in his mid-20s. Harden, Embiid, Tatum, Luka all went 3rd. All became the best player in their class, and none of them were drafted number 1. There's something different about going 3rd. You're not the face of the draft, you're not the next big thing, you're the guy who slipped just enough to remember it, and that memory sticks. Michael Jordan didn't forget. Even in his Hall of Fame speech decades later, he reminded the world, Portland passed on him. They took a big man over the best player of all time. That wasn't bitterness, that was fuel. James Harden got picked behind Blake Griffin and Hasheem Thabeet. Thabeet didn't last. Harden became an MVP and one of the most prolific scorers in league history. Joel Embiid watched 2 teams pass on him because of injuries, so he came back stronger and turned himself into a force no one could ignore. Jayson Tatum, he watched 2 teams bet on guards while he became the most complete two-way forward in his class. He never said much, he just got to work. And Luka, he was already EuroLeague MVP before he turned 20. Still, some teams thought he was too slow, too risky. He hasn't stopped reminding them how wrong they were. The 3rd pick doesn't come with the crown. It comes with questions, doubt, disrespect. And that edge, that's the secret ingredient. It pushes players past good, past great, into something more dangerous. Not because they were handed it, but because they had to take it. So why does pick number 3 keep hitting? It's not magic, it's not luck, it might be timing. Think about it. The number 1 pick lands on the worst team in the league, the most unstable, the one in full rebuild mode, desperate for a savior. That spotlight is heavy. At number 2, the expectations are still massive, but the grace period is even shorter. You aren't the chosen one, so fans are quicker to doubt you. But pick number 3, that's where things shift. You're not expected to save the franchise overnight. You're allowed to grow into your role. And more often than not, you land in a better situation. Kevin McHale landed in Boston. Pau Gasol had space to shine in Memphis before becoming Kobe's perfect co-star. Tatum went to a 50-win team with championship structure already in place. Even Luka, traded to Dallas on draft night, entered a franchise with Dirk Nowitzki and no pressure to lead immediately. It's not about being less talented, it's about being allowed to breathe. And when elite talent gets time, structure, and motivation, that's when it explodes. Number 3 gives players a little less hype, but a lot more runway. And sometimes that's the difference between potential and greatness. If pick number 3 is a gold mine, what does that make pick number 2? A graveyard? That might be too harsh, but it's hard to ignore the track record. Marvin Bagley over Luka Doncic, Darko Milicic over Carmelo, Bosh, and Wade. Hasheem Thabeet over James Harden and Steph Curry. And that's just scratching the surface. Pick number 2 has produced good players, sure, but it's also produced some of the most infamous draft misses of all time. Why? Because pick number 2 is awkward. You don't get the top guy, so there's pressure to hit just as hard, but the consensus is rarely as strong, and the team picking is usually desperate to prove they didn't miss out. That leads to safe picks, or risky ones, or players who get compared to the number 1 pick every single night. Brandon Ingram was compared to Ben Simmons. Jalen Green will always be tied to Cade Cunningham. Even Kevin Durant had to live in Greg Oden's shadow for about 2 weeks. Sometimes number 2 works out brilliantly, but more often, it seems like the pressure is heavier than the reward. Meanwhile, number 3 slips in quietly and thrives. You're close enough to greatness to matter, but far enough removed from the spotlight to grow. In the battle of expectations versus opportunity, pick number 2 carries the burden. Pick number 3 reaps the benefits. If history has taught the league anything, it's that pick number 3 is dangerous, but somehow teams still miss. In 2003, the Pistons picked Darko Milicic over Carmelo Anthony, a team with Chauncey, Rip, Sheed, and Ben Wallace, and they added a project. They won a title anyway, but imagine what Melo could have done in that lineup. In 2009, Memphis drafted Hasheem Thabeet 2nd, Harden went 3rd, Steph went 7th. In 2018, Sacramento took Marvin Bagley. Luka Doncic went 3rd. He's now one of the best players on the planet. Bagley was traded before his rookie contract ended. Time and time again, the league overthinks it. They chase potential instead of production, hype instead of instincts, and they pass on guys who end up becoming the face of the league. You'd think Jordan going 3rd would have changed the conversation. Instead, it just keeps happening. And each time the overlooked one turns into the one everyone remembers, it's not about hindsight, it's about patterns. Because the 3rd pick doesn't sneak up on history by accident. It's passed over, it's underestimated, and then it takes over. This isn't just a history lesson, it's still happening. In 2022, the Rockets picked Jabari Smith Jr. 3rd overall. He was projected to go 1st all year, until he didn't. The Magic took Paolo, the Thunder took Chet, and Jabari fell. He's not an all-star yet, but his defense is elite, and when the shot starts falling, he could be the best of the 3. Then in 2023, Portland took Scoot Henderson at number 3. Victor Wembanyama was untouchable, but Scoot, he's built like a star. Tough, confident, already has leadership qualities. He's had growing pains, sure, but so did Luka, so did Harden. That chip is already forming, and looking ahead, there's always a new class, new debates, new consensus, top guys, but now more fans are starting to ask, who's going 3rd? Because that's where the pattern lives. The greatness doesn't always come from the spotlight. Sometimes it comes from the shadow of it. And if the past 40 years mean anything, the 3rd pick isn't slowing down. The number 1 pick is supposed to be the prize, but time and time again it's been the 3rd pick that's changed the league. Jordan didn't just become the greatest, he built a global brand. He made basketball cool, and he was picked 3rd. Pau Gasol helped Kobe win 2 more rings. Tatum might do the same in Boston. Luka and Embiid are already the faces of their franchises, and Harden had a 4-year run where he was nearly unstoppable. These guys didn't just pan out, they became legends. They led playoff runs, won MVPs, changed how we see the game, and they all started with the same number next to their name on draft night, 3. Not because they weren't good enough for number 1, but because someone else got the hype. The 3rd pick doesn't come with a spotlight, but it comes with something better. Space, motivation, clarity. Enough pressure to perform, but not so much that it breaks you. It's the pick that lives in the middle, overlooked, underrated, and over time, overqualified.